Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we're going to talk about doing stuff the way we've always done it. We're going to talk about the NYPD, we're going to talk about the Sergeants Benevolent Association, and we're going to talk about that giant mess up there. If you don't know, an officer up there was suspended because they blasted Trump 2020 out of their squad car. I mean, yeah, that kind of seems appropriate. You know, generally speaking, it is kind of expected that law enforcement remain apolitical, especially when using taxpayer vehicles. However, the Sergeants Benevolent Association up there had a different idea. They referred to the suspension as unnecessary and way over the top. Go figure. They don't want their officers held accountable. They also went on to say that NYPD has a history of officers making political and outside of the norm statements and ignoring it. Okay, let's assume that's true. That's wrong. That needs to change. Just because something has always been done that way is not a justification to continue doing it. This is a hotly contested election. That's really well known. Y'all got a memo about it recently. It would probably not do well for the NYPD to become a partisan organization. They went on to take members of NYPD's administration to task because they took a knee with demonstrators out there about Floyd, and that they obviously weren't remaining apolitical. So to be clear, the SBA up there believes that endorsing a political candidate in a taxpayer-funded vehicle somehow equates to taking a knee with the Floyd demonstrators. I would suggest that, and I'm going to use their terminology, not the terminology I would like to use, I would suggest an in-custody death is not a political matter. It's a moral one. It's one of bad standards and bad training. Maybe just because you've always done it that way. I would further suggest that the SBA should endorse the idea that all in-custody deaths are bad, even if you've always done it that way. I would point out that these are the same folks that always wonder why is Donald Trump seen as a racist? Maybe it's because his allies constantly cast him as the opposition to a movement that says black people have value. There's really no other way to read that. He's seen as a racist because his allies constantly paint him as a racist, probably because a lot of them are racists. I would point out that casting that as a political issue feeds into the idea that black people aren't people, that they're just a hashtag, they're score, because you've always done it that way. I would further point out that I'm down here in the Old South, in the Deep South. Even down here, deputies and sheriffs took a knee because it's not a political issue. Almost all of them are Trump supporters, but they took a knee because it was wrong. And I'm going to take a line from Trey Crowder here. When you got sheriffs and deputies in the Old South telling you to ease up on the black folk, you got a problem. The SBA is part of the problem in NYPD. They're part of that institutional memory that influences officers and gets them to continue things that aren't best practice just because they've always been done that way. Upholds all of the problems that exist in modern law enforcement because they're reluctant to change, even when it results in something that is inarguably a bad thing. The administration up there isn't the issue. It's the cops who don't want to get better. The NYPD is very fond of saying they are the best law enforcement agency in the world. They are the finest. Then perhaps they should be leading the charge to advance and get better, instead of holding it back and acting like an anchor on reforms that need to happen. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.